This is the Dawn Diaries. Here I share my insides the same I would in an online diary. Now it's time for your dose of Dawn.
So my dad, we don't talk a whole lot, Yeah, he and my stepmom are going through a divorce. And it's been in the works for a really long time. I think he had an affair. Not that I think. I know he had an affair, but I don't know if that's like the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know if they were already kind of in the outs before the affair or if that really was the thing. But he's blind, so how did he have an affair blind? Because it's kind of weird what's been going on. Like, the new discovery that I found was recent. And I didn't know about this. So basically what happened was I was on the phone with my dad and I was like, oh, is Carmen there? Because sometimes my stepmom is there. Like, sometimes they live together. Sometimes she's upstate. I call it upstate, but it's not upstate. Like Californians don't call it upstate. If you're going to Sacramento, if you're going to San Francisco and you live in LA, you don't call it upstate. You just call it up north or whatever you call it. So but I say upstate just because I've lived here a while. So, but anyway, she's up there and sometimes she'll live with my dad. And I don't understand the whole situation at all. But when I was on the phone with him, I was like, oh, is Carmen there? Like, tell her I say hi. And then he goes, hi. Like, in other words, like, he doesn't have access to her. Like, they don't talk to each other. Like, they're under the same roof, but they don't exchange words. They're, like, mad at each other in a way or something. There's something weird in that dynamic that I didn't know was going on. I thought they were civil. They could, like, hey, pass the salt, kind of civil. Like, but he's on his own. Like, he's calling me with FaceTime to look for the microwave start button. He's like, oh, is it here? Is it here? I'm like, Dad, put the phone down. Lower, to the right. So I could see where his finger is going. Carmen won't even tell him these kinds of things. Like, they're that, like, uncivil, in other words. And I didn't know it was that bad. I could never telling you about people's energy and how it drains me. I can never imagine being in that situation where I'm under the same roof with somebody and I can't even ask them how to use the microwave or something. Like, it's just not good. It's not good. I didn't know, I just thought, like, I thought neither of them would ever be that way to each other. Even though it's really naive of me to think that because they're very immature people as it is. So, of course, they're going to be petty and weird and no solution oriented or whatever it is. I'm sure I could easily end up in that same spot if I was with some toxic person too. I could see that happening very easily. Even if you think you're evolved and mature and all that, you never know, you never know. Like, give you the wrong circumstance and of course, but it just sounds really bad. Like, I just felt really bad for both of them, Like, it's toxic. Yeah, that means he's making all the food on his own and everything else, Which is understandable because if they're divorced and she's paying for a lot of things, like, because she's the one who has a job and everything, then of course she wouldn't contribute with him, like food-wise and money-wise, like. So it makes sense, but it is a sad situation nonetheless, Like, yeah, and there's nothing I can do about it anyways. I would never live with him either, And it's not like I'm so rich that I could give him a place to live and pay his rent, Maybe in some other alternate reality that would be a nice solution, but it's just never going to happen. And I'm not like that kind of person who grew up where I'm so close to my parents that I would sacrifice a whole lot, like, take care of them, whatever. It's not even in me to be that way because I wasn't raised by him, like, for the entire childhood, So, yeah, if I was, no questions asked, I would totally do it, but I'm not, and I feel like part of the fact that I'm not is, like, lack of motivation to provide those big things for your parents, Like, some of it might be tied to that. Who knows, dude? Who knows? But my step siblings grew up with my dad, They grew up with my dad. But they shun him too, you know? I have 2 stepsisters, and I have a stepbrother. And then I have a half-sister who was born from my stepmom. And then I have a half-brother who's also born from my stepmom. I have 2 kids together. And they're the youngest ones. And then she had 3 kids coming into the marriage. Dad had 2 kids coming into the marriage, which is my brother and I. We didn't live with my dad. After my step-siblings moved in. We lasted for about a year, and then it was too much. So we moved out, lived with other members of our family, and then they were left there. And because my dad isn't blood, they've shunned him, I guess. I don't know. It's really strange. Like, they have a decent relationship, not the best relationship with my dad, but decent enough, like, where like when my stepsisters got married, when they both got married, like my dad walked them down the aisle. So it was like, you know, like that's kind of a signature dad thing to do, you know. And then my stepbrother and my dad seemed to be the closest out of the 3 of them, out of the step siblings. Because they're boys, they seem to be the closest. But even he shunned him because of the affair. And my little sister, the one that's born from Carmen and my dad, she shunned him too at first because of the affair, which is totally understandable. But because I'm a sex worker, I see things way differently. But if I had been just a regular girl like my sister, I probably would have been like, whoa, an affair, la la la. Like, it would have been shocking to me too. I've seen it all. And like, it doesn't have the same shock value to me. So I could see why my like struggling, you know, like. But when I first found out, I was like, oh, okay, this is the first. Yeah. You know, I was like, oh yeah, like doesn't surprise me. Like, the only thing that was a little surprising to me was the fact that he's blind. Like, how does he? But you know how guys are. They'll get it any way they can. Yeah, you know, I just think of myself. Like, I would probably give up on dating if I was blind, you know, like, I just think of myself. But, like, realistically, yeah, why would it stop a guy, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it wasn't that shocking, but it's still really sad news when you first hear it. You're like, oh, that sucks. Like, maybe not the fact that it happened, but more that he got caught. Like, why was he so reckless? But at the same time, it's good that he got caught because he shouldn't be doing that shit anyways. Like, so he's definitely the one who's responsible. And if that was the main thing, he's definitely the one responsible. But I don't like how he's been treated, you know? Like, but I don't treat him any better. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. My dad he's just getting what he deserves, you know? He was a bad dad to me. I don't know about to everybody else because I wasn't there. All I can say is that he raised the other kids. But who says he did a good job? Like, financially, probably, but other than that, but not financially always, because he lost his sight when I was 15, so therefore the kids weren't fully grown up, so he wasn't providing after that, because he was a good provider, but he was a terrible dad to me. Like, he was definitely a good provider. Like, he like, when I lived with him, we always had like the new shoes and nice clothes and like nice backpack. Mm-hmm. But then when I lived with my aunt, all that shit stopped, and we had like the worst situation where we'd go back to school and we'd have the same stupid clothes from last year. Super embarrassing. But like, when you're a kid, like that's what makes you a good dad. Like, if you can do those things, then you're rocking as a dad. No, but then there was physical abuse, so it wasn't good there either. So, and who knows if he never touched the step siblings, as far as I know. But I know he's hit his own kids. John is the one that's my other half brother. I know for sure he's hit them. He's hit them, even blind, because knew my dad for 5 years before he went blind. So it's only 5 years old. She's only 5. Because she's 10 years younger than me, so I was 15 and she was 5. Yeah, so but he hit her too. As far as I don't remember the details. So he's like terrible in that way. Like he doesn't know how to. Maybe it's old school, like you hit your kids or whatever. But like you gotta move with the times, man. Like that's just not what you do now. So like he obviously hasn't learned from any of these things. But anyways, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like maybe he truly is just getting what he deserves. I don't know. It's hard to say. But it does hurt me to see, like, it hurts me to see. But it probably does the same thing to my step-siblings. Like, my step-siblings probably think, well, what the fuck is wrong with his own daughter who won't help him out? And I'm thinking the same thing about them. I'm like, why don't they help my dad? Like, because isn't he like a dad to them? Like, in other words, everybody probably thinks the responsibility falls on whoever the hell the responsibility falls on, you know? But like, we probably all have a weird distaste towards him, you know? Which is unfortunate because he I don't know. I think if we had grown up like for a long time, things would be a little different. Like in terms of like me trying to really step in and help. But because things didn't go that linear, you know, like I don't feel that way towards him, you know. There's a very huge like heart disconnect where I don't feel responsible for him. It doesn't stop the fact that like if you ask me if I worry about him, yeah, of course I'm gonna worry about him, but like there's just nothing I can do. I talked to him on my birthday. We talked for like a second. Like we literally talk about nothing, to be honest. We talk about like so what happened was basically like we had a lot of snow. Parking is suspended when there's snow, and right? So my car was really dug in, like where it just turned into ice. Like it was really tough to get it out. But every other street, because I'd walk down these streets like in my neighborhood and I would see that a lot of the places had melted. But for some reason, I don't know what it was, but my street specifically was still a lot of ice, lots of ice. But I kept looking on Twitter and I kept looking online about the suspension. And it said, oh, Monday, they're in effect. Like, finally. Every time I checked, it was suspended. But then I saw in effect, and I was like, oh, crap. Like, that's on my birthday, right? So I have to move my car on my birthday. That's what made me go get the balloons. I was like, I have to move my car, so I'm going to go get balloons, right? But I had to dig it out. That was the problem, right? So I was like, I don't want to freaking wake up on my birthday and have a ticket on my car, so I better freaking dig it out the day before. See if it runs, because if 3 weeks you have it parked, you don't even know if it's going to turn on. You don't know. Help me, because he and I hang out all day on Sunday. He brought his steel shovel. He gets a kick out of these things. Like, he's so much in his masculine energy that he loves the challenge of anything. So you give him a challenge, he doesn't even see it as a job. He's like, yeah, let's dig out this car. Like, they like doing favors for girls as long as you frame it in the right way. You make it like it's like gonna be a fun teamwork thing, they're down, you know? So like I didn't feel guilty at all for asking him, because I knew he would, you know, step up and want the praise after. Like the day before my birthday, because God knows, like, because I don't know anything about New York, to be honest. Like, I know a few things about New York, but I haven't lived here long enough to know the consequences. Like, let's say I don't get a ticket because they clearly see that I'm in ice and it hasn't melted. Like, I don't know, like, if that's excusable or not. I would have taken the chance had it been any other Monday. If it had been any other Monday, I would have been like, fuck it, I'm just gonna leave it. They know it's frozen. They know, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't move it, right? And maybe I'd risk the ticket, I don't know. But I didn't want to, right? Because why would you, right? So I was like, all right, let's dig the damn thing out, right? And he brought his jump starter just in case it wouldn't start. We were all ready. We digged the damn thing out. It's the first time I've ever digged a freaking thing with ice. It took a while. I did a little TikTok video, but I forgot to do the before after. Because the before would have been like a better video, but whatever. So we dug the damn thing out, and we could move it. Like we drove it around the city. And then what was my point in all this? Because I know I was talking about the car. Oh, my dad story, because he's like interested in the, guys.
No.
So like, oh, that's all I have to tell him. I'm like, oh, this is all, like, any news like that, he's gonna be like kind of somewhat interested in story, and so he got a kick out of it, whatever. Because like to him, it's such a novelty. He's a Californian, and he's like, shoveling snow is such a story to him, right? Story, whatever. So yeah. That was it. That's all we have is like small talk. I pretty much have the whole guy talk down. Interest. But they think that about us. Oh, what are you guys talking about? Hair, nails. But during quarantine, I try to do things to my hair to take care of it. And I know this is a weird thing to say, but I almost felt like I got too healthy, like where like if I put a clip in my hair, like it'll just fall right off because it's so slick. Or the curls don't hold anymore. Yeah, like there's no way to style it because it is so fine and healthy. Like there's no grip and anything. I could do it and it was just damaged and like dry. So there's improvements there, but I think my hair's thinned out a lot. Like, cause when I was a kid, it was very thick, and then as I gotten older, it's just got more and more fine. So I might be one of those women that may not get grays, but I will be one of those women that, but that's the extent of our relationship. Like, it doesn't go any deeper than that, It's not enriching for me, He keeps in touch, like, but when he does call me, I call him right back. Sometimes I'm able to answer, and then he likes to email, because he goes to, like, a Braille Institute, computer training there, yeah. He does school, like, he's been in school forever, but I don't know what it's going to lead to. He's not really interested in finding jobs or anything. I think he's happy, to be honest, with his Social Security, even though it's barely anything. Just living off of that, and then going to school just to better himself, like technology-wise. He knows how to use his phone really well, like Siri, emails. And his emails are really funny, like, they're like run-on sentences. Sometimes they're like words smashed together, no space. But they're good. They're funny. They're good to read. They make my day. They're nice. So, and then but it's always just kind of small talk. It's never like anything more than that. But it's not that I have expectations on like father-daughter conversation. I feel like that's as good as it ever gets, anyways. Like. I'll have something serious on my mind and I'll say it anyways because he just happens to be the person on the phone, and it goes over his head. It goes over his head. I think because I do it based on my mood. It's not even something I plan necessarily, but whatever it is that I'm thinking about, I'll express it to him if it's on my mind, knowing that it's probably gonna go over his head. But I can tell there is a side to him that appreciates, like, I don't know, the extra knowledge or whatever, like the insights of like what's going on with me, maybe, even if I think he still appreciates that I'm open with him about stuff. So like, I know it's not like a waste of breath or anything like that, like.
This is the end of the episode, and I'm glad you made it all the way here. Any website that I mentioned will be linked down below. Also, I have a Patreon page, which I will include episodes earlier. We're talking a few days to a day early. And if you want to sign up for membership, it'll just be a cool way to get ahead of the episodes that I'll be sharing with everyone. It'd be nice for members to join for, their own contribution and their continued support, meanwhile getting the earliest possible content. Reminder again to subscribe and to ring the bell for notifications. Thank you very much.